Alrighty, gamers, it's time for me to weigh in on the whole Epic Games Store, Fortnite, all of that jazz. I've been hearing about it now for weeks now. We've been hearing about all the drama with Fortnite, and I'm not really going to talk much about Fortnite, but I do want to talk about Epic Games and what's happening with the Epic Mega Sale and, what's happening with Epic Games in general, because I don't feel like the I want to just raise up some new topics, pretty much. I think there's a lot not being talked about, and in the way some things are being talked about, I don't necessarily think it might be fair. So stick with me through this, and at any point, definitely I want to open up a conversation here, so let me know in the comments what you think and everything. So click like also if you like the video, dislike if you hate what I'm saying. I hear you. I understand. I know that this is controversial to some people, this topic, and people have, our fellow gamers have hard beliefs on things, and I know it's very important because this is our lifestyle, this is our enjoyment, this is our happiness. Gaming is us. We are gamers. So let's get on into it and start talking about something. So, what first kind of intrigued me enough to start doing some research was hearing about the great games up 75% off, $10 off any game, $14.99 and up, a general sale. So we did hear that some game companies were kind of pulling their games and everything, and there's a lot going on with it. So I just want to show this. Yes, Epic is doing a sale right now, very similar to what Steam does very often with their Steam sales and everything, like the spring Steam sale and everything. It's the same thing. They're doing a sale, and they have a ton of money and have the capabilities of pulling off such a thing, especially with what I'm going to be going over. They have a high capability of really being competitive, and I want to, I want to really put an exclamation point on it. This is them trying to be competitive. This is not them doing something illegal, as I'll get into. It's just them being competitive. And, with a company like this that has a large influx of money from many things that I'm going to get into, this is just, in my opinion, them being competitive. It's them fighting and trying to be the top dog. So, let's get on into some of the things I'm finding here. Okay, so to start off, the first thing I find is Epic vs. Steam, the console war reimagined on the PC. So a majority of the topic of what's happening here is Epic vs. Steam, and is what Epic's doing unfair, and are they being shady in their practices, and, a whole lot, of issues around what's happening, in the world here. So in this article by The Verge, they're going on through, like, the PC platform is facing significant challenge from an equally large and powerful player, Fortnite creator Epic Games. And I did highlight Fortnite creator Epic Games because they're so much more than just a Fortnite creator. Like, the history of what Epic Games is, coming from Epic Mega Games and the Potomac computer systems back in the day, there's so much more than just the creator of Epic Games, and that's where I think a lot of people are kind of just missing the point here of what's happening with Epic Games and what I think maybe people should worry about a little bit, and also why there should be less worry. The only companies that have historically dared to defy Steam's arrangement are largest publishers in the industry, companies like Activision Blizzard and Electronic Arts, which is true. I mean, you do have, GOG, and there are some other, companies like maybe the Origin Games and stuff, but mostly it's been like Origin Games, Activision Blizzard, Electronic Arts, the actual game companies themselves selling their own games and competing with Steam in the fact of selling their own games. Whereas Epic is very different in this aspect. So, it does change a lot, in that. I'm going to get into a lot of the money later. This is where I'm getting to. Epic now, with a success from Fortnite, suddenly comes into all this money. They got money from other places as well, as I'll get into. And like reading the article, the one thing to go after Valve is the margin. So they start talking about how can you compete with, Valve and Steam. and it's the margin. Whereas Steam is charging 30% on all of their games to the game companies making games and devs. Epic can compete with that. And, with their influx of money, they can take less money to provide what they're trying to give. But I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I'll get into that later as well. A lot of things are going to unfold in this video. Particularly polarizing is Epic's approach to securing exclusive titles for a store, including not just Metro Exodus, but much as Borderlands 3. So, I'm on the side of, if you get an exclusive, you get an exclusive. If you're gonna pay the money and make it more viable for that company to make games and take risks, and sometimes that's not a bad thing. I don't fault PlayStation for doing it or Xbox trying to get exclusive games. I don't fault them. It's a way to get customers to your platform, to your console, to you. And Epic, in showing that they're getting exclusives, in a way is them saying, we want to be a hub. We want to be a place where you are getting games. So join us here so that we can grow over time, and we're going to give you games, and we're going to make those game companies a very nice offer so that it's going to cut their risk, because Epic's paying for the exclusivity. Epic's also giving them a larger piece of the pie, so a company can say, in this risky world of making video games where it could just flop out of nowhere, they could say, let's take some risks. Let's maybe invest more money and make this game even better, and kind of just say, all right, well, if it fails, we're not completely screwed, so GG, awesome. So I can't fault them on that. Steam, though, they were good competitors in the gaming sphere, where they did do things like the Greenlight program, which made new up-and-coming game companies, a higher chance at making a game. And, Steam really not working on utilizing factors like that to kind of put the spotlight or the green light of a spotlight on game companies that they know are making a good game, so that you have an easier chance of finding the good on their platform. They've kind of moved away from that in many ways over the years, and really kind of screwed the pooch on it, whereas it's just getting harder and harder. Even though they try and aggregate to you the games that you're most likely to like, you go onto Steam and there's just so many games, and a lot of time you search a word on Steam and you get just like a ton of these like pretty much porn games, or a ton of just games that just aren't any good. So it's getting harder and harder to find just good games and the games you'd like, aside from the top tier games or the trending games and stuff like that. Steam's just such a large platform of games. Rebooted the Greenlight program at Steam Direct, streamlining publishing process, removing nearly all barriers to submitting software to the store. So Steam, this is one of the things they've done where I feel like they've made a mistake. They've opened up the door more by just letting everyone and anyone get on the platform and just making games. So it's like I'm seeing Steam from a side of, the Valve doesn't really make games anymore. Like they haven't really tried to self-publish in a while of anything good. The gaming community's been crying out for the longest time, saying we want another Portal game. Where is it? They're not listening to their community base. They're still staying as like a grandparent company, insofar as they're still charging 30% of a total game price to the game companies in a world that's getting more and more hostile towards game companies and more risky towards game companies. So, the risk goes up, then the game companies, kind of innovation and risk and desire to make better games goes down. They can't risk, if they're putting millions of dollars into this, it's the make or break of their company in some ways. And you release a game they put a ton of money into and everything, and now you're losing 30%. They don't need 30%. The amount of games that they have on the platform, and the length of time it takes for them to really make upgrades to their platform and make the Steam system better it's just, there's a lot of things just going on that just don't feel polished anymore there. Like, yeah, you get the reviews, then they took away the reviews for a little bit, and then the reviews are only, you've played for a certain amount of time, and then, you're dealing with all these, like, minuscule problems on the company end, and it just doesn't seem like anything's growing. There's no innovation there happening from Steam. So, in a way, it's a good thing for Steam to hopefully get a wake-up call from Epic, a company that has a lot of money, that Steam, who also has a lot of money, needs to wake up and do more and try and innovate. I got the Trello roadmap here for the Epic Games Store later, but I want to go into, so I looked up, I was trying to look everywhere to see if a seller can, like if there's any problems with, like, let's say you make a product and the seller sells it on sale. What kind of like the legality of that would be? Does the manufacturer have like a say in a way, like the developer, And the closest thing I could find to it was this FTC article. If a manufacturer on its own adopts policy regarding a desired level of prices, the law allows the manufacturer to deal only with retailers who agree to that policy. A manufacturer also may stop dealing with a retailer that does not follow its resale policy. And so this is technically manufacturing and not development of video games, but I think that there is a shared line there where you have someone making a product, selling it to someone who is, their main goal is to sell that product and then share that product with the world. So the manufacturer can say, we want you to sell it in X range of prices. So if you're going to put it on sale, you can only go this low, and you can only go this high, so that if their product is on multiple different store spaces, you're not going to have one just like gouging everyone else and making no money off of the product anymore, and the other people getting screwed out of it, because then your product is going to be seen by less people, it's going to get out to less people, and it could hurt your brand, your item, your whatnot, for the future. Even though that one place might be selling it for super cheap, that doesn't mean that one place is seen by everyone, utilized by everyone, or any of that. So if there is no exclusivity deal with that seller, then yeah, you could run into some problems there. And I hope you all agree with that. Like, I think, to me, that's the most logical explanation for that I could see. The keyword, so one of my suppliers marks its products with a manufacturer's suggested retail price. Do I have to charge this price? So the suggested price, it's suggested. Keyword is suggested. A dealer is free to set the retail price of the products it sells. A dealer can set the price at MSRP or at a different price as long as the dealer comes to a decision on its own. However, the manufacturer can decide to not distribute that do not adhere to its MSRP. So they can make up their own prices here from what the FTC says. And then here goes, that means manufacturers cannot agree on wholesale prices and dealers cannot agree on retail prices. So basically, the sellers and the makers can't work together to make a price. So you can't control the price across the board on your horizontal levels of the chain, but whereas you can, advise between the two different chains, So I found that interesting when I was thinking about what this situation is, what's going on, and what's happening here with the whole Epic Games Store stuff, whereas you have Epic Games Store putting games on sale that, they do and don't have exclusivity deals. They are well within their rights as long as, and I haven't seen anyone mention that the game companies that have taken down their games due to the sale, saying that Epic Games has broken their deal with that game company, saying such as a suggested price or a deal that you can't break this floor or this ceiling or whatnot. I haven't seen anything like that. And then on top of that, the one thing I have found out is that Epic Games is not, taking the money from game companies. They are footing the bill of the sale 100%. If you get money off of your game, Epic Games is sending that money still to that game company, which to me makes a whole lot of sense. If you're going to do a sale, you still pay that game company the cost of what they would have made, up to what the cost should actually be. So if Epic Games, takes a certain cut, then they take that cut out of it and they pay you the difference, without the cut. That's what makes the most sense to me, I would say, because I would say that Epic Games shouldn't be taking some of that money not given to the company out of their cut. Like, they should, that company should still make the 100% of what it should have made from that sale, and Epic should be sacrificing their own cut of, the 14-15% without the 5% if it was made on Unreal Engine. Or is it 12%? I gotta check again. So then I decided I want to look in what is Epic Games. Who is Epic Games? Where has this company been? What have they done? So find out they started in 1991 by Tim Sweeney. It was just him making a game, and then he made ZZT, which, as you can see here, looks like an old school game. But this was the birth of what Epic Games is. It's not just one thing. So ZZT became, it was ZZT OOT, I think it is the name of the skeleton for game creation. So people were able to mod it and utilize it to make other games, which, like Epic Games later turns into, you got the Unreal Engine. So this game started a long time ago, just Tim Sweeney making an engine on his own and a game, and then that engine turning into something a ton of people like to use. Most successful video game engine by Guinness World Records in 2014. This is not just the game company that made Fortnite. This is a game engine making company that has been on the top of their game pretty much since 1991. They didn't really do too many flops until more recently. Then I talk about Tencent acquired 48.4% outstanding stake, equating to 40% of total Epic in 2012. So this is another thing we're going to talk about later as well. So ZZT caused the most part of easy modifiability of the game using Sweeney's custom ZZT OOP programming language made Sweeney consider turning Potomac Computer Systems into a video game company. ZZT was sold through Bulletin Board Systems. So this is in the early days of games where, on PC games, you'd have to go to a bulletin board, pay over, the phone or whatnot, and then, eventually get a game sent to you, very hard time period of doing this type of game sales. Rain worked remotely with Toronto and primary sales, marketing, publishing deals. I don't know why I highlighted that one. So Epic Mega Games released Unreal, a 3D first-person shooter co-developed with Digital Extremes, which also became their own, they're their own company, and they created Warframe later on, but were co-creators of Unreal, which expanded into a series of Unreal games. The company was also began licensing the core technology, the Unreal Engine, to other game developers. So at this time, this is the first, I think, change for Epic Games. This was like the ZZT OOP was great, but then they made Unreal Engine. So this is a separation. They are not just a Fortnite creator. They are the creator of the most widely used and most popular engine of all time for gaming. They're not just the Fortnite creators, So we have to think more about that when we're thinking about the store. What does that mean? Is it just a store? Are they just a Steam killer? What the heck are they? The follow-up game, Unreal Tournament, all that stuff, that doesn't really matter. This was me just, trying to do my research. So stock employee options for Tencent here, 48.4% for $330 million in June of 2012. So they got $330 million to their company in 2012 from Tencent there. Yes, they say that they don't have, a big, control. Tencent Holdings has a right to nominate directors to the board of Epic Games and thus counts as an associate of the group. So they can get people in control on the board, but Tim Sweeney still holds a majority stake in the company and can kind of do what he wants as long as the board doesn't kind of overvote him. So everyone on the board would kind of have to agree to get him out. Epic had about 200 employees. So this is in... what year was this? It was 2012. 2012. So not that long ago. Then it goes on to people left the company because they didn't like where it was going. So at this time, Epic is trying to change to games as a service, which I hate. I really do. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's anti-consumer, but it is what it is. Tencent allowed Epic Games to relicense Unreal Engine 4 engine in March of 2015. So Epic then changed their royalties on games developed with the engine to 5% there. You could free for all users develop with it, so you can make the games for free now, but you got to give 5% to Epic. Or nowadays, you could skip that 5% and take the 12 to 15%. I'm sure it's going to be in here somewhere, and still sell the games anyway, and you get the full support of Epic. Why not? So then it goes into Fortnite to 125 million players in May of 2018. So yes, this was where they made a lot of their money. US $1 billion by July of 2018. With Epic, which had been valued at $825 million at the time of Tencent's acquisition, when they paid $330 million, was estimated worth of $4.5 billion in July of that time. So yes, Fortnite did make them all their money, and get their worth up a crazy amount. But this isn't the only place where they've gotten their money from. They did have the $330 million influx earlier than that. And what were they working on that time? Paragon. They were working on Unreal, the game again. They were working on Unreal Engine 4, and they were making, Fortnite, around the original Fortnite. Projected growth of the game is going to be $8.5 billion by the end of 2018, though. That's crazy. Commercial success enabled Epic to make several changes to other product offerings. In July 2018, it reduced the 30% revenue cut that it took for assets sold on Unreal Engine Marketplace from 30% to 12%. So they were already selling things. Yes, they weren't selling games, but they were selling the things to make the games at that time and getting a 30% cut. So let's say you're a developer, right? You're paying 30% to, the Epic Games because you maybe made your game and you used something on the marketplace, so you have to pay something for that, and then you're paying because you're using Unreal Engine, using the 5% there, but it's free for the engine, so people making the items paying 30%. Epic is getting money from so many places at this time, and with Fortnite, they're just making so much money they could cut these percents. This isn't something evil or anything. It's just they have the opportunity to really do something that can make a large influx into the community of gaming here. Golly, this is a long video. Epic launched Epic Games Store, digital storefront to compete with several like Steam and GOG, taking only 12% cut, 30%, blah, blah, blah. Epic announced October 2018 that it had acquired $1.25 billion investment from 7 firms. So $1.25 billion in October of 2018, after they've already made billions off of Fortnite, they get investment firms, KKR, Iconics Capital, Smash Ventures, Axiomatic, Vulcan Capital, Kleiner Perkins, and Lightspeed Venture Partners. So now they're getting a ton of money outside of this, and now they're US $15 billion valuation in October of 2018 now. So talking about all this, then there also mentions that they bought Rocket League. So talking about everything, when we look at what they're going to be doing, you can look at the midterm, near term of what they have working. They are making the store better. You've got user reviews coming, wish lists. The things you see on Steam are coming, and this is midterm 4 to 6 months, so let's say a year. Long-term shopping cart. It might not be happening in the order you want to see it. It's on the way. It's in the works. They are going to be the next big store. So I started looking around everywhere to see what people are saying about things, see what people are saying about the stores, to see, if there's anything I'm missing. So let me know if there's anything I'm missing of why Epic is being evil here and everything. So, I can see video hosting, genre and text, store page redesign, offline mode functionality, preloading. They have pretty much everything, you could kind of want to store in the works. So let me know. So I started trying to look for, Epic Game Store's unfair to Steam customers and whatnot. Epic Games. So this website, I will say, is owned by Tencent Holdings, which has 40% of Epic Games in there. So a lot of places I saw, everything was kind of like, they don't have the same things as Steam. They're, being evil towards Steam by charging a lower percent. Their exclusivity deals are anti-consumer. And I'm just like, they have the right to make a deal with a company to say, hey, we'll sell your game. We'll give you money to let us sell your game for X amount of time or forever. Would you like to make this deal? You can't blame Epic for that. You have to blame the game company for that. If you don't like that, you got to show it to the game company that I won't play your game. I want the game to be available on the platforms I like to play it, and I don't like to play on that platform, so I don't buy from there. And then the game companies are going to say, oh, snap, let's not do that again. And other game companies will see that and say, oh, snap, let's not do that, if you don't like that. But I think most people really don't care what platform it's on. They just care that the game is good. And I don't really feel that Epic's doing anything too evil here. Epic Game Store has structure and polish of modern piece of consumer software is pretty unfair to Steam. The fact that Epic Game Store, like, this site is full on just BS, like, propaganda, like, unbelievable fanboy. It's also unfair that Epic Game Store actually functions when you click on things. I just want to kind of show this for the silliness of it. Valve takes 30% of, and then this is kind of where they get into something like kind of on point. Valve takes 30% and the pub dev gets 70%, which means the pub dev gets $42 every time you pay $59.99 on the Epic Game Store. The dev pub can charge $49.99 to make $44 per sale, $2 more per unit because of 8812. It doesn't matter, but that's kind of like the main thing for me there. Of kind of what's going on with that. Then I decided I wanted to find a place that shows the statistics of everything in gaming. So I found WePC.com. And when I tell you, the amount of information on here is unbelievable. So when we look here, USA and China are like the two largest groups, if you're looking at it, for gaming. Oh, well, France here has got like some, United Kingdom 4,200, but 25,000. This is revenue in million US dollars. So there was $25 billion from the US, $32 billion from China. So Epic being owned, 40% of it being owned by Tencent, the biggest Chinese gaming company, really shows you Epic is going to win. And they have all the power here. All of it, not just because of Fortnite, but because of Tencent, because of all these other deals that they've made, the investors that they've gotten, it's unbelievable. Then when we look at like the game consumer markets, you can see the DLC markets going up, package markets going down. So we know that games as a service, and games over time are going to be it's the next big thing. You buy a game and then you're getting DLCs for it. It is anti-consumer, and that's where I'm going to start getting into my worries from all this. As I was kind of searching through all of this and, looking at hardware sales, looking at console gaming and everything, and I look at it, we do have like the console sales here, and you can see like, these things are not really growing per se, but they're selling. This isn't in overall getting larger than it was before. It is kind of it's smaller than it was before. It's kind of growing a little bit, but it's definitely smaller than it was before over time. These are sales in the millions. So, they are selling a lot, but it is a lot smaller. People are moving in bulk to cell phones. They're not really playing on, PC. Maybe they're playing a little bit more, but there's a lot more options coming out with cloud computing. It's, gonna be a very different topic. Worldwide value of console gaming market from 2011-2020 million US. So you look at it, and digital console games going up. Physical console games kind of in a way shrinking, because you see this going up, but this is kind of leveling off here. So it's like 17, 16, 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, and then online microtransaction consoles going up. So our physical sales are going down. So the Epic Game Store has an even higher chance at succeeding, in the coming future. Now, I kept on going. I can go on all day about a lot of these things that are happening. But what it comes down to is I am worried in a way that we're going towards digital computer games. I am worried in a way that we're going to cloud computing, that we're going to games as a service, that we're going to DLCs, that we're going into anti-consumer practices. Whereas back in the day when you'd get that one game and that was the one game that would last, you'd get the best game you could possibly get, and it would come fixed, it would come not broken, it was great. But this move is not a worry about, it shouldn't be a competition of Epic and Steam, because I don't feel like Epic's doing anything wrong. They're being business competitive in a competitive market, whereas Steam is just not competing against them. Maybe they don't have enough money. I mean, when you have a company that's got billions of dollars, what can you do? But Epic, I don't think, is doing anything wrong here. They're getting a chance to take over the world of gaming in the digital sphere. That's what they're doing, and they're running with it. They're charging lower percentage. They're giving deals to use their engine, which is the most popular engine in the world. So that if you get the deal to use the engine, you get that 5% taken off. You're also getting a larger cut of the pie of selling the game. You're taking risks. You're making better games, hopefully. And in that aspect, we're going to get better games. But on the other side, with digital games, you end up paying more in the long run, because you can pay for a DLC, you can pay for microtransactions, you can pay for the game itself, and the game itself is still going to be a full freaking price game, even though we're getting these deals, So in the long run, you're paying way more money digitally, and you don't even own the product you have. So if maybe in the computer world they decide to take your game away from you, well, you're screwed. So there's so many other things to be talking about here. Instead of saying Epic Games are evil or anything, yeah, there are worries. Hopefully, crossing fingers, they will do right and keep the Epic Games Store as just a store, make their games that they're making, buy their game companies that they're buying to provide us with good games and everything. But from what I could see, from everything I've researched and everything, I really just don't feel like they did anything wrong with making a sale, and I think that the game companies will have to prove that they had a deal that Epic Games couldn't sell below a certain price, because they don't want their game being sold for a lower price, because, their competitors could then not compete, and they want to be able to be bought on everything, or something like that. Like, without that, I just don't see anything wrong here. But please do let me know in the comments. I'm sorry for the long video again. I'm trying to keep these videos low in time, but I'm going to have a whole bunch of other types of videos too. I'm thinking about doing some stuff with Fortnite and some other games, just funny compilation videos. I'm still just starting off with this channel, so please do let me know in the comments what content you do like. Do you like this type of long-form content where I research stuff, or do you wish I could just maybe talk faster and, shrink it down? Let me know, please. And yeah, many more videos coming, trying to do just whatever strikes me interesting on that moment. Film it, record it, everything, get it out there to you. So click like, let me know, and in the description I'm going to put all the links to this stuff here, and I'm going to put links to my social media. Join me on Instagram, Twitter. I'm trying to post stuff there. Join us in the Discord if you want to continue the conversation there. I will comment on pretty much every comment unless this video goes insane and it's thousands of comments. Pretty much I try and comment on every comment. I definitely want to talk to y'all. Let's get to know each other. I'm a new YouTuber. Let's do this if you would have me, or let me. If you would. Thank you so much for watching. You have a good day. I love you very much. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.
Like, comment, subscribe, and follow if you dare.